Hey guys, so I'm going to go over how you would track your food in an app. This is going to be the MyPlate app off of Livestrong. You can really use whatever you like. It all basically works the same way as long as you can see your macronutrients, which are carbs, fats, and proteins. That's all I care about. And for on a desktop, that's all the way down here at summary. So that's going to be carbs, fats, protein right there. Okay, and I'm on a desktop, but you can do this on your phone. I actually do it on my phone. I'm just doing a desktop for the video purpose. So I've got a day's worth of food in here. You guys should know your macronutrient goals by this point. If you don't know them, get in touch with us and we'll help you out. The number one thing I want people to remember is to not go off of what the tracking app has as your goal. So a lot of the times they'll give you like a 2,000 calorie a day goal or 1,200 or whatever it guesstimates for you. Here it says I'm 818 calories over because it's 2,000 calorie a day goal. That doesn't work for me. I need to be around 2,800 calories per day. So you can set this in your app or in your tracker or just completely ignore it. Don't use this, use what we tell you. So I've gone through and tracked the entire day. Let's go through what it looks like and how I can utilize this even after just 1 or 2 days of using it. So my breakfast today, I came in, I worked out, and I did Progenix Recovery, which is protein powder, and then I did some peanut butter. Any generic peanut butter works. I don't use any of the Jif stuff. I use Smucker's Natural, which is really just peanuts and salt. So that calibrates everything here, or calculates everything here. Lunch, I had steak kebabs at Zoe's, which is a restaurant here in town, and it's pretty accurate for what's on the menu. So it's 880 calories, carbohydrates, fats, and protein right there. I also had a Diet Coke. This doesn't add any calories, but I like to track when I have those because they're not that great for me, and I don't like to have a whole bunch of them in a row or on a daily basis. I also, by the way, track my water on here just because I might as well. I honestly need to drink a little bit more today. So I've had my lunch, and that was around noon. I didn't have a meal in between. You've got dinner, and then you've got snacks. Everyone's tracker is a little different depending on who you use. For dinner, I haven't had it yet, but I am pretty sure I'm going to go to Zaza's and have some Hawaiian pizza, and I'm going to have 3 slices. So I just loaded that up in here. Now, I have today under snacks had my other meals, since it doesn't have meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, meal 4, meal 5. I always eat for the macronutrient goal. I don't try to get a certain amount of meals. I just make sure I've got the right numbers because that's the most important thing. So under snacks, I've logged everything else. So after my workout in the evening, or about 4 o'clock, I do strength training. I had a coconut water because that absorbs pretty fast for carbohydrates, and I drank that right before and during eating my meal I made from home. I made earlier on Sunday actually, and it was 6 ounces of chicken breast, and then some red potatoes, which is roughly a cup or 1 serving. Asparagus and mushrooms were in that as well. So about 1 cup of cooked asparagus is about 4 spears, and that's what I had. I had about a half cup of cooked mushrooms with it, and I cooked that in olive oil, so I might as well just put a tablespoon in for, somewhat being accurate. Now, that's what I've had throughout the day, and I'm going to have this for dinner. Checking out the totals at the bottom, these are always the more important number than what you're having per meal. Later on, we'll teach you what you should be aiming for per meal and give you some tools to make that work in your favor. However, for right now, just focus on the summary or the entire day. So, carbohydrates, I've had 214 grams, which is pretty good. My goal is 220. I'm trying to always get within 10 grams or so of that goal, so I've done pretty good there. My fat goal is 121 grams, which is pretty good because I'm right on it. I'm 1 gram away. My protein is set for 180 grams because I want to be 180. I'm currently 173, and I'm pretty close to that at 182, right? Now, these are the recommended things. Don't go off of these. Most of that's set by the government, and we kind of see where, United States stands when it comes to health. So don't use those. This is how you would track everything for a day. Now, how you can utilize this, even after just 1 day of learning how to track, let's say that I had my chicken breast here. I'm going to delete that. And under snacks, I'm going to log that I had ground, let's say ground beef. And I had that at 70% lean because I like the tasty stuff, right? One serving should be about 3 ounces, so I'm going to have 2 because I always normally go for about 6 ounces. That's just my generic what I get. And we put that right here. Okay, so it showed up. Now if you guys will look at the fat grams there, it's 10. Puts my fat up a little bit higher. So a little bit higher than is probably needed for me to be. So let's say I'm at 120 fat goal, and that's wrong right there. Serving, incorrect. Let's change that. Serving size needs to be 2. I thought that was pretty lean. There we go. All right, so fat goal, way out of balance now. The way that I can use this, let's say that I had ground beef, and I'm going through looking at what I've had in the day, and I realize I eat too much fat. Well, if we look at my fat sources, I would just track up this fat column here and find out your largest source. Hawaiian pizza, definitely a big source. Steak kebabs, definitely a big source. Creamy peanut butter, somewhat, not really bad though. So this is a red meat. Steak kebabs, pretty high. Hawaiian pizza, it's going to be high. And then ground beef again, another red meat. You guys will probably learn that red meat has a lot of fat in it. So one of the first things I do for people or I recommend for people who eat too much fat, but don't necessarily eat bad, or eat a lot of refined foods, is to check the type of protein they're eating. A lot of times if you eat red meats or red fishes, then you're going to have a lot of fat. And it doesn't mean that they're bad fats. And, a steak with vegetables and whatnot is better than a McDonald's cheeseburger. There's different types of quality, but the most important thing for weight loss or weight gain comes down to the numbers. So what I would recommend is let's try something else. We can decrease this and eat less, but if that leaves you feeling hungry, what I would recommend is to just omit it entirely the next day or maybe next week if you've already made all that food, and try a lean meat like chicken, or you know what, let's say tilapia for people who don't like chicken or you're just tired of chicken. 4 ounces raw, so 1 serving, and let's say I have 2 servings. My carbohydrates are 0, fat is far less than 30 grams, protein's pretty high. Tilapia is awesome nutrition-wise for macros because there's no carbohydrates, very little fat, and lots of protein, right? So add that in. Again, I don't know why I've done that incorrectly, but we'll fix it. 2 servings, please. Right? Protein, pretty close. I'm only 2 grams off. My fat is even closer than if I had chicken. Carbohydrates remains unchanged. Okay? It's great if you guys are looking at the fiber and stuff over here, but don't worry about it too much right now. Remember, this is the most important stuff for right now. So I can alter what I have based off of what I see and learn from my tracking of my habits and what I'm eating. If I didn't track what I was eating, I would not be able to make an educated change or an educated guess on where I need to go from here. That's why our first week is based off of tracking, and the first thing we do when we take on a client is to get started tracking and learn where you're currently at. Somebody thinks they may need to eat paleo, but they're currently eating lots of refined foods and barely drinking water and don't currently have any consistency. It's probably a bad idea to try to eat paleo right away. We should really just start with something that's a little bit closer to where they're currently at. So we start tracking, and then they see, oh my God, I'm eating 1,000 extra calories per day, and I didn't even know it was coming from soda. Just tracking can be a very powerful tool and can give you some very, very profound feedback and ability to change.